Hey, the lady formerly known as Star, how does this welcome to love, welcome to peace? Does that sound like a good day? Perfect? Thanks. We are live. I have just been informed. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. Where are we at? In St. George, Utah. Welcome to all of you out there, too. We're glad you could join us. There's a couple more seats over here on the other side if you all didn't want to stand up, so you're welcome to move around and sit down. That was for the benefit of our online viewers. So my name is Alan Stanley, and they let me get up here and sing and play a little bit, so that's what I'm going to do. And you're welcome to follow along, because I believe there's some slides. There we go, so we can all sing together. This song was written a while back by a friend of mine named Louis. It's not my friend anymore. Lois Hendrickson. And I just really like it for starting things off. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. All right, we're going to do this one more time. We are all friends here. There are no strangers when you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you are. Yes, we hold you in our hearts the way you are. Now we're going to welcome Sue up here, and she's going to break us all in and tell us the rules.
And your practitioners are providing the program today, so anything can happen. Just welcoming you. Yeah, this is new for me, and I got to put my glasses on. So, anybody new here for the first time today? We have 1, 2, 3. Oh, great. How did you hear about us? And our new website, it's really going to attract people. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. And you're Viviana? Vinaya. Beautiful. We have a gift for you that Rick's passing out. Oh, you've got it. Okay. And what is your name, sir? Preston. Presley. Preston. Oh, your grandson, wonderful. Well, we're so glad to see Gwen and Kelly here, and they brought their grandson. And your name? Casey. She is representing the Interfaith Council, and we're happy to have her here today, too. So welcome to everyone. We want to acknowledge our volunteers. Today we've got a lot of people filling in for our regular crew, and we really appreciate and need the help. So thank you all for lending a hand. Let's take a few minutes and greet each other. If you don't want to get up and walk around, then scoot over and greet the people that are sitting closest to you. If there's nobody close, then you have to get up. Thank you. We'll now have our announcements by Tim McGeechee, a member of our core council.
Thank you, Sue. All right, we have lots of announcements. Hello to all of you out there watching. And gotcha. All right, we're on target with the slides. As usual, when we have an in-person meeting, there's no online Zoom today after the session. We'll be here and chat in person. And then the next in-person service is going to be September 13th for Inhabiting the Inner Habitat. That's intriguing. Joe Kovac will give that talk. And next, prayer requests. We have our practitioners here. They're going to be very busy this morning running the whole program. But after we're finished, they are going to be available for a moment of prayer at any time. You can check them out in the back after the service, or email them or contact them privately. We have a back to school campaign going. We're collecting school supplies or cash, and we've identified some sources for needy children and families, and we'll be passing that along fairly shortly. So you can leave those in the back, and we'll do that, okay? The used bookstore is on that table at the rear, and it's worked out very well. We have a lot of book trading going on, so please take a moment and see if there's anything of interest to you. Feel free to take a book. We ask for a love offering, but you can also simply bring in one book and take another book, whatever works for you, okay? The workshop today that is going to be led by Sue Fullmer is Awakened Through the Mystical, and she's facilitating a discussion on near-death experiences, past lives, mediumship, clairvoyance, synchronicity, oracle readings, but that's not all going to happen today. I suspect Sue will brief you later on about what she's doing, I think. Okay. We set up some September activities that may be of interest to our group, and we have a new flyer, and there are copies of it on the rack at the welcome table. They're including, first of all, September is Pride Month in St. George. We put it off to September because of the weather, but they're going to have the Pride in the Park Fair again this year on September 26th from 11 to 5 at J.C. Snow Park. And we will have a table, and it will probably be next to Grace Episcopal, which is the only other church, I think, that's regularly appearing at the Pride Fair. So we have a very small church row. And we're looking for people who would be willing to help volunteer to staff the table. So if you're interested, let us know, okay? We are restarting our community care circle, which is a group that will look at our membership that may be having difficulties or health problems or whatever might benefit from attention from our group. If you'd like to join, Marina is going to be coordinating that, and you can contact Marina. Right? Then Alan is starting the Joy Singers again, finally. It's been dormant for a year, but we're gonna, yes. And They sing at a few events during the year, and we'd like to get a group together to have a little singing group. It's not formal, doesn't require any auditions or anything. Please talk to Alan if you're interested.
There's a sign-up sheet.
Yes, and there's a sign-up sheet on the table. And Alan will contact you about the first rehearsal and that kind of thing. And finally, we are doing something new this year, thanks to Rick and Anna, who are hosting a Connection Circle, which is going to be a home discussion group in person at Rick and Anna's house. This is part prayer circle, part book study, part discussion group, and all about building connection here at CSL. It will start on Thursday, September 24th, and run 8 weeks from 6:30 to 8 at Rick and Anna's house in Laverkin. So you get to do a drive as well. There's no cost, just an investment of your time and your heart. And we'll be studying 7,000 Ways to Listen by Mark Nepo. So please contact Rick, he's here this morning, or email him to sign up for that. That's enough announcements for today. I'll turn it back over to the practitioners.
One word about the workshop today. We start at 1 o'clock. Enjoy eating some refreshments and stay for that workshop. We have a special guest coming today. Nathan Cunningham is an astrologer and a medical intuitive. And he helped us out at the psychic fair. Some of us were able to get a reading from him. So I think it'll be very interesting. Invite you to join us. Okay, the flames of faith. The philosophy of science of mind was started by our founder, Ernest Holmes. And he did a lot of research and was such an intelligent person and put together beliefs from all major religions, the Eastern beliefs, the Christian beliefs. And you'll see through these lighting the flames how we honor each of those entities. We perform the Flames of Faith ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all things, all beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit, God, Love, Source. We first light the unity candle, which represents the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. The next candle is for the shamanic tradition, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Next is the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The candle for Buddhism honors the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The candle for Christianity honors the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle acknowledging all forms of new thought including Centers for Spiritual Living, the metaphysical path of a personal relationship of healing through the practice of universal spiritual principle. The next candle is for inclusivity, affirming that those that are seeking a stronger knowing and understanding of divine love are welcome here. We now light the healing candle. We invite you to silently offer into the light the names of loved ones, friends, knowing that they are now the perfect expression of Spirit's eternal wholeness and love. Thank you. Thank you for your chime.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Barb. We heard you over there. I was saying I forgot there was no mic. Thank you, Sue. And thank you, Barb, for chiming in. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you dream of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you dream of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And next up will be Scott.
Spiritual Living St. George, and it's an honor and pleasure to be with you all today as we explore anger. It's going to be a very interesting expression today of three different practitioners from three different perspectives, and one of the things that I wish to bring into light today in this invocation is to an old saying, to take what you like and leave the rest, and often bring in what that consciousness is actually saying to you. Sometimes we like to tune out that centeredness of what the message is that we're receiving, and so I ask you today to open your hearts and open your minds and know that we are all one. And so as I bring us into that collective consciousness of the one, knowing that there is only one power, one presence, one divine light, and knowing that light is represented through each and every one of us that is present here today, I know that the innermost selves are wishing to listen, are wishing to understand, and wishing to comprehend on how to process information that we're receiving. And so knowing that there is this one power, I know that we are all one together with this one power. Knowing that the divine consciousness is also our consciousness. And as we bring in that consciousness together, we know that each breath that we take collectively as a community, as a one. And so knowing that each one of us is divinely perfect and expressing ourselves as that divine wisdom, as that divine power of that divine compassion, knowing that these things that we are able to transcend from the spiritual mind into the logical mind, into the emotional body, into the things that are together as one. And so I know that today, as each person steps forward and speaks from the place of love, speaks from the place of truth and the place of wisdom, I know that each one of us also speaks from that same place, knowing that divine works through us, as us, with us, and for us in all places, in all spaces. And so I give great thanks for the knowingness and the union of this community, knowing that we are one, and together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Scott. So, somebody doing slides today? Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I put these songs together toward the end of the week, so I kind of get an idea what we're going to be talking about. But I don't know. Then I find these favorite ones, and I say, oh, I don't care what we're talking about. We're going to play this. Well, then it ended up being Eddie Watkins Day, which I don't think y'all are going to care. Slides or not, you can sing this one. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together, we come together, we come together, in the name of love. From every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite. In honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Ooh, thank you. Y'all sound like joy singers out there. Don't forget to sign up. And now I think we're going to bring our sound tech up and let him change his hat for a second.
Good morning. Glad to see you have all come together for this. And we'll make a small adjustment here. Or not. Are we on? Okay, good. All right. So we're here today to talk about mobilizing anger. And I know that as Scott alluded to, Sue, he and I will all have differing viewpoints and positions, but I just want to start talking about anger itself. And I know Reverend Joe has done a great job earlier this month of getting us all thinking about anger. But one of the things that is interesting about anger is how it is expressed. You know, when I was growing up, I was a big kid, grew up into a big person, a big man. So expressing anger from a big person standpoint is not acceptable in the world, okay? So I have adapted my anger response to something different. And I don't know if this rings true for any of the rest of us, but when I get angry, I have trouble expressing that. And I shut down, and I separate, and I get gloomy, and Diana asks me, "Are you angry?" And I say, "No, everything's fine," and I stuff it, okay? Now, that may not be the most healthy way to handle anger. I'm sure everybody handles it a little differently. Anybody have a different way that they handle anger? Workout. That's a great one. It's a great way to talk about mobilizing. Just kind of work that through the system. There's also the socially unacceptable ways. Do something destructive, do something to vent. Okay, but there's also other ways. What about a confrontation with that person who angered you, or that situation that angered you? That can be an acceptable route, depending on the situation. So everybody handles their anger a little bit differently, and I think that's important when we start talking about how to mobilize our anger, because we all have different signals. And I want to talk about the anger signal and how we deal with that, how we handle the anger signal. So one of the things, if we're going to, let me put it in my perspective. If I'm going to learn to use my anger to, and what is the way they put it? Transform anger into a compassionate action for collective good. So if I'm going to do that, first thing is I have to recognize that anger. I have to recognize that I am angry, and even though sometimes Diana will say, "Are you angry?" and I'll say no, I may not even recognize that it's anger that's making me be the way I am at that point in time. So it's an important first step in learning to handle our anger and channel it properly is to recognize it. So we need a signal that says, you are angry, I am angry, and I'm going to do something different about it. Now I think about signals, and I think about, like a fire alarm. If a fire alarm was going to go off right now, we all know what that fire alarm means, and we're going to leave the building so we don't get caught in the fire. But we're not leaving because of the signal. We're not leaving because of the irritating noise of the alarm. We have been conditioned to associate that fire alarm annoying sound with something that there is a danger of a fire. So I think the first step for anger, and as far as creating a signal and a response, is to understand what that anger looks like in you and recognize the signs and make that a signal. I've got to move to the next step, or I want to move to the next step to be able to use my anger in a positive way. So I want to share with you a couple stories about me being angry. One from a long time ago, one from last week, and one that kind of continues to go on in my life. One from athletics. I used to be a defensive lineman in college, and I had two jobs. One was to make sure they didn't run the ball in my hole, and second, if the quarterback ran with the ball, chase him down and try to hurt him. Okay, but there's also a guy on the other side of the line whose objective is to keep me from doing those two things. And the way that I would properly prepare to handle him and that was anger. I would watch film of him all week long, and at night, hours and hours, watching how he blocked, how he ran, these kind of things. And I would generate a pretty high level of anger for this person over the course of the week, and then express that anger on Saturday when we were clashing. So that's one area of anger. One that just happened to me on Friday at my work. Part of my work responsibility is in a manufacturing operation is to meter the work to the workstations and the employees that needs to be done and create work orders for them to complete the assembly of the product we're making, which happens to be an airplane in this case. And a few weeks ago, our engineers decided they're going to completely redesign the wing process. And our president and CEO said, this is the most important objective, we need to support this. So one of the engineers came to me on Friday and said, hey, I just made a bunch of parts. Can you release them to the factory to get made? I'm like, you got it, buddy. Let's go. And I start releasing work orders. And somebody comes up to me who is involved in the process and the control of the process, and said, hey, what are you doing? That's not scheduled. You can't do that. Anger. I was angry because I was doing the right thing, and I'm held up by red tape. Okay. So that's two examples. Third one is a little different, and I think all three of these are different. Third one is more of a home life thing. We have 3 grandchildren who we love to have come over and spend time with us, and Diana loves to do it, and I love to do it, and it's fun sometimes, and sometimes not as much fun. And Diana does everything she can to make them happy and this. And I think they kind of take advantage of that. So sometimes it's like, Nana this, and Nana that, and Nana can you, and Nana will you, and after a while, and I see myself as a protector of my wife, okay? So after a while, all the Nana, 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 and I'm like, well, hold on. No, I anger. Let's give Nana a break. So I think all three of these are examples of anger, at least my anger, and And what's the common denominator? Anybody have an idea what the common denominator is? Well, yeah, me, of course, yeah. But I think it's important to understand why we're angry, to understand what is driving that. And at least from my perspective, what I see in each of those three situations is something I care about very much. And it is being either restricted or kept from me, okay? In some way, what I care about is not available, or it's being disregarded, or boundaries are being violated, okay? So I think the important part about the anger and how to transform that into a positive emotion or a positive outcome is to understand it's all about caring. It's all about the amount of care. And I think the more amount of care that we have for that is proportionate to the amount of anger we have when it's violated. So, all right, so now we've got a signal. We say, okay, I'm angry. Now how are we going to transform? Rick, can you do that thing I asked you to do now? Well, fortunately, we are here at Centers for Spiritual Living, and we have a process for that. And we haven't really formally talked much about the Arise process, but it is there, and it is available, and it is relatively straightforward. Rick's going to pass out some of our flyers just to kind of as a reminder. But the Arise is a acronym, and there's 5 words involved in it. And A is awareness. So that's what we talked about, with that anger signal. Okay, so now you've got an anger signal that says, oh, I'm aware of the fact that I'm angry. Okay? And now I have a process. I don't even have the right one. And now I have a process that I know that I can work through to channel that anger positively. The second step is radical responsibility, the R in Arise. So if you become aware and then decide, I'm going to take radical responsibility. I'm going to do something differently than what I normally do with my anger, and take responsibility for it. It's not anybody else's responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the person who made me angry or the situation that made me angry. It is my responsibility. Okay? Yeah, I'll take one. Thank you. So the third one is inside-out living. Okay? So everything from once you take responsibility for that, everything comes from inside you. There's nothing outside that you can or should want to or will change. When you're talking about an emotional situation such as anger, that change has to come from inside. So it's inside-out living, okay? And then the S is spirit is all there is. Now, if you're in a situation where, you've got some decisions to make on how I'm going to handle this anger, and you've decided to take responsibility for it, you're aware of it, now you want to have like a brainstorming session that says, okay, how am I going to deal with this? And I think the best brainstorming session, partner is spirit. That's, we all think with that universal mind, and if we involve spirit in our change and the direction we want to go, that is the optimum situation. And then everyone is evolving. And certainly that is what each of us should want to create as we run through this Arise process relative to anger, is to evolve to a situation where we channel that anger properly and constructively. So any questions on the Arise process while we're here? Or on anger? All right. If you run into an anger situation and want to deal with it in a constructive manner and want some help with someone to run you through the Arise process and kind of shepherd you through that, I know Scott, Sue, or I are available and willing to help in that manner, as well as our 2 ministers who played hooky today. So, yeah. Jesse?
Tell us or tell me how you
Well, there's obviously several ways. So now that you've taken radical responsibility and you say I'm gonna make this change, how that happens is when you go into prayer or you go into meditation, and that's how I make myself available to Spirit and open to the intuition that comes from Spirit. So, all right. Well, I think Scott is following, and I'm sure he is ready to roll. So, you want this back in the holder?
Thank you, Bill. That's nice. You didn't make me angry. So I'm going to be talking about today anger in community. The collective fire. That's what I like to call it. We're often told that anger is something that we need to control or suppress or get over. But what if anger isn't necessarily the problem? What if anger is trying to tell us that something's not right? Fire can destroy, but fire can also warm us and illuminate us. We couldn't see before and gather people together. Ever been to a bonfire and you collective sitting around the fire and looking at those flames, and they can almost become like a meditative process in itself where you're looking into the flames. So today I want to consider us to take a look at a question. Instead of asking, should I be angry? Let's ask, what am I going to do with that anger? Bill brought out a good point about ways and how to exercise the anger and to process it. So, what is anger? It's information, right? It appears when something we value is being harmed. And if we take a look at something that we're being harmed, our dignity, our community, our safety, our sense of justice, in that sense, anger is an alarm saying, something here matters to me. Now, I know what our processes and our science of mind teaches us, and that's something here matters to me. And anger measures the distance between the world as it is and the world as we believe it should be, right? We take a look at the world through a lens. Maybe that lens is on TV. Maybe that lens is on social media. Maybe that lens is on a radio station. And maybe we're infusing ourselves with information of anger, and then we collect it. And all of a sudden, that anger becomes our perception and our reality because it's something that we're repeatedly hearing over and over again. Anger measures the distance between the world and the world we believe it should be. We look at something and say, this isn't right. People shouldn't be treated this way. We can see that pretty clearly. Something needs to change, and anger brings something else with it. Who can guess what anger brings with it? Energy. That is correct. That is correct. Alan, I should have had you play I am the energy of God, right? That's okay. Energy, right? So here's an interesting take, that grief sits down, but anger stands up. Grief can leave us exhausted. Anybody here have gone through grief or grieving? Anger often says, get up, speak, do something. Audre Lorde, an activist from the 70s, described anger as being loaded with information and energy. And isn't that what our process teaches us, the science of mind, is that we are in mind, information and energy. Same fuel, two fires. Because the same anger can create two different fires. Anger that consumes needs an enemy. It becomes about blame. It becomes about people instead of naming the harm. And eventually it can isolate us and consume us and the person carrying it. I'm sure we've all encountered angry people in our lives. And I'm sure that we've all been in an environment where anger is prevalent. And how does that make us feel? Not so good. But anger that builds asks a different question. Who can I blame? It asks what needs to change. Constructive anger identifies the harm and turns its energy towards something concrete. So the difference isn't necessarily the intensity of the anger, it's the direction we give it. History gives us a powerful example of what happens when an entire community learns and leans to direct that fire. On June 5th, 1981, the CDC published a report describing the 5 cases of a rare pneumonia in 5 young men in Los Angeles. Nobody had a name for it yet. Nobody understood what was beginning. And what followed wasn't only a medical crisis, it was a crisis of silence. People became sick. People died. Partners, friends, families, entire communities grieved. And for years, much of the country remained silent. By the time a sitting president publicly spoke about AIDS in 1987, roughly 21,000 Americans had already died. Think about that. Silenced communities. You're on your own. So here's an important question I want to ask you. What happens to grief when nobody seems to be listening? It becomes anger. And the numbers tell a part of the story. It took 8 years for the United States to reach its first 100,000 reported AIDS cases. It took only 2 more years to reach the next 100,000. And by the end of 1991, more than 133,000 deaths had been reported. But those weren't numbers of the people living through it. They were partners. They were friends. They were brothers. They were sons. They were neighbors. They were people somebody loved. And this was a community watching itself disappear. Eventually, people realized, if nobody's coming to take care of us, then we are going to take care of us. And that's when something remarkable happened. They took their grief and anger and gave it somewhere to go. First, they took care of each other. The Gay Men's Health Crisis organized volunteers, created a hotline, provided information, and developed a buddy program so people who were dying didn't have to face it all alone. They made their loss visible. The AIDS Memorial Quilt placed names in human stories where the world had seen statistics, and each panel said, this person existed, this person mattered, and this person was loved. And then they refused to be silent. ACT UP, an organization from New York, took anger into the streets and demanded change. Their message was unmistakable. Silence equals death. Notice what happened. Grief became a community. Community became courage. Courage became action. They didn't stop grieving. They gave their grief somewhere to go. And anger changed the facts. Anger changed things. Drugs got approved, access to experimental treatments expanded, and all of a sudden, what was making us angry in those communities, we started seeing change in a positive way. Patients began gaining a voice in decisions and research and treatment. The people affected by the crisis weren't willing to submit to remain subjects of decisions being made about them. They became participants. There's one sentence in this slide that captures it for me, that we're not asking to be liked, they were asking to live. Their anger became focused, organized, specific, communal, purposeful. And because of that, anger changed the facts. So we ask ourselves now, this isn't simply a history lesson, because every one of us carries that same kind of fire. As a community, we went through a tremendous crisis called COVID, where we all had to change our lives. Our lives were changed as a result of a disease and as a result of a community not knowing what to do. Maybe you're angry about something happening in your family, your community. Maybe you're angry about injustice, loss, or something happening to people you care about. So instead of immediately trying to get rid of the anger, I want to leave you with 4 questions today. First, what is anger protecting? What is your anger protecting? And don't begin with what you hate. Ask yourself what you love enough to be angry about losing. Because every one of us carries some kind of fire. Every one of us. Your community, your country, maybe you're angry about injustice, loss, or something that you really just don't understand. Second, I want to ask, whose pain is this? And are they in the room? Before we speak for people, perhaps we should first listen to them. Third, what is one concrete thing this fire could build? Fire can build a conversation, a phone call, an act of service. One thing changed because anger that never becomes action can eventually become bitterness. And finally, who will we be able to love when this is over? We can stand against injustice without surrendering our humanity. We can challenge systems, behaviors, without allowing hatred to decide who we become. Sometimes anger is asking us to protect something. Sometimes it's asking us to speak, to listen, to act. And sometimes it's asking us to stand beside someone who shouldn't have to stand alone. Here at the Centers for Spiritual Living, we stand with you. As practitioners, we know the truth, and we're here to help you with finding your own truth, to support you, to hold you in that compassionate state. So today, I want to close with my messages, not what I'm angry about. What am I going to build with it? What am I going to build with this anger that I may have? Because it takes one voice, one presence, one love that each of us have. And maybe our responsibility is to learn how to tend the fire together. Together. Thank you.
Wow, I could just say amen, brothers. So good. Thank you for your presentations. So well done. Well, as a child, I was quite the people pleaser. It was important to me to be a good little girl. The sister just older than me, she was the bold one. She could show anger, and she did. But in contrast, I couldn't. I didn't learn while I was young that there could be a healthy way to express anger, and that followed me into my marriage, where I would swallow my feelings and store them up. That would lead to a volcanic outburst when I finally was triggered beyond my holding power. I sought out some help later in my marriage, and I remember reading the book, How to Fight Fair in Love and Marriage, when I was trying to save what was left of our relationship. I learned that holding anger in was unhealthy for the relationship and for my well-being. I have experienced many years of stomach problems as a result of pent-up anger because of my fear to express it. Michelle Medrano, in Resolving Your Fears, said fear exists most often as an invitation to heal something. Just as we have to be aware that if we have a cold, we need to stop and rest and heal to get well. The presence of the virus of fear and the resulting anger can be an invitation to stop and take care of our heart, mind, and soul. Over time, I've become better able to have courageous conversations, though sometimes they're still difficult, take action in spite of fear, and set boundaries. Reverend Kelly Robbins introduced a touchy subject in one of the daily guides this month. She wrote, "Religion is a topic that can quickly bring up strong emotions. I encourage you to take time today to reflect on your beliefs about religion. Notice any fears or prejudices and approach what you find with kindness." This reminded me of my own experience with the strong emotions of leaving traditional religion. I reluctantly left the LDS Church, taking over 4 years for that break. When I divorced my husband, I met with my bishop at the time for some guidance. He asked me, are you having regular family prayer and family home evening? We probably did those things more than his own family. I resented his questions and tried and used that fuel to fuel anger and resentment towards the church. Also, at this critical time, I didn't receive any visits to my home or even a phone call by any of my church members who were my only friends. I came to realize that a newly divorced woman is somewhat taboo, especially for the brethren to visit. When I attended church, people would look right through me as if I were invisible. Here, I had been a leader in the ward. I was recently released as the young women's president, and no one seemed to know me anymore. My hurt was rising as anger, but I didn't want to carry angry feelings. Still trying to be the good little girl. So I chose guilt instead. Guilt is a very unhealthy emotion. Its shadow is shame. I have to add that I've become aware that I think I frightened those people. If that horrid thing of a divorce could happen to this family, to this person, then it made them vulnerable. I remember what Brene Brown says about guilt and shame. Guilt is that you believe you did something wrong, and shame is that you are wrong. Finally, I realized that anger was a breath of fresh air compared to guilt and shame. Anger has energy. And as I allowed myself a little anger, it gave me the energy to look around for where I did belong. I had to come to terms with my former religion. The decision I made was to appreciate it for all that it taught me about God and prayer and spirituality, and for being my refuge when I needed it as a young person trying to escape an alcoholic home. When I finally realized that Spirit was leading me to something different, something that I needed for my growth and development, I was able to let it all go. I went on to learn about indigenous traditions that filled my need for spirituality for a while, and then I was led to a spiritualist church where I was able to develop and use some of my special gifts. And eventually I found the Center for Spiritual Living in Las Vegas. I no longer harbor anger, guilt, or shame about my former religion. Instead of anger, fear, and frustration, I'm feeling forgiveness, confidence, and love. The author Richard Rohr wrote, "The only way to get to the bottom of anger is to face the ocean of sadness underneath it." There was an ocean of sadness when I had to face that time of my divorce and leaving the church. I had to get up close and personal with forgiveness. I like what Nadia Bolz-Weber says. What if forgiveness, rather than being a pansy way of saying it's okay, is actually a way of wielding bolt cutters and snapping the chain that links us? I'm glad I took hold of those bolt cutters. As a teacher, I taught high school in Las Vegas for 21 years. I had the privilege of teaching a subject where I could include life skills in my lessons to my students. I created a big poster for my classroom that pictured the emotional continuum from the teachings of Abraham. At one end of the rainbow was a smiley face and the words happiness and bliss. At the other end was a frowny face and the words powerless and unhappy. Next on that end of the spectrum was the word anger. I told my students that anger isn't bad. In fact, it has energy that is often needed to resolve a conflict. But to stay in anger was unhealthy, and to express anger inappropriately could land them in jail, leading to powerlessness. I encouraged them to find the next best feeling from anger on the continuum. We came up with what is pictured here. Thank you. When angry, perhaps the next best feeling would be frustration. To take a breath and admit that it's frustrating when someone does something or says something that upsets you, it starts you on a more empowered way of dealing with your emotions. The next best thought from frustration might be to go to hope. We can hope to handle the situation in a more mature and safe way, and then let it all go and allow forgiveness. By finding the next best feeling, we can learn to love others, which leads to happiness and bliss. That's a worthy lesson for all of us to remember. To channel the energy within anger to the next best feeling emotion and continue until it is transformed into love. The affirmation for today is, I channel my anger into meaningful, courageous action. Please repeat it with me. Ready? I channel my anger into meaningful, courageous action. Thank you. Now please join me in our closing prayer. With humility, I stand in this sacred moment of prayer, recognizing the presence of the Holy Spirit, the presence of so much good here today, the presence of love, knowing that that spark is within each heart here within my heart, within all life, within all that is. I know that that spark moves us to experience the energy of anger, to experience guidance, direction, and changing, being able to channel that angry energy into eventually love. I am grateful for those who have helped this service to go as planned today. I'm grateful for the internet that takes our word out to the ethers. Grateful for each person that contributes to CSL and makes it a mighty, mighty force in our community. I release my word of gratitude, knowing that it goes into the law of love and becomes only good. And together we say, and so it is.
That's what I was thinking about. Well, that was something, wasn't it? I want to thank Bill and Scott and Sue. I'm not angry anymore. And worried either. So it ended up being Eddie Watkins Day. There he is. I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday's mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. Hey, don't it feel good to know all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you. Hey, don't it feel good to know all is well and unfolding as it should? All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked by the Spirit, I am one with the divine, I am one with all that is, my soul is free from time, I am blessed and so are you. Hey, don't it feel good to know all is well and unfolding as it should? All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. Repeat. All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. All is well, and unfolding as it should. So, I don't even know who's next, but I got notes. All is well, and Charles Smith. Come on.
As treasurer, it came to me to do this part. We are grateful for all of your support. We have several ways that you can give it. Zelle is a beautiful platform, bank-to-bank platform, no fees to the sender or the receiver. We also have PayPal, but even more importantly, we're introducing a new method to pay over the website or over the app that Joe and Rachel introduced recently. So that also goes through directly to the bank. Very easy for us to handle. And of course, checks or deposits in that you choose to give here at our in-person services. I know most people send in their payments by check or by Zelle. We appreciate that, but we also were very happy to accept them here in person. And I know for many people that's a special feeling to give that way. So however you choose to give, we're grateful. We thank you for it. Now if you join me in the affirmation, I am overflowing with love and abundance. I give from the source of my being, which is rich and unlimited. With joy and excitement, I share from this overflow. In return, the universe gives back to me in different ways, channels, and means. And so it is. So for those of you who choose to give in person, the bowl is over there. If you have already given or if you just here, please take a card as we look at the circulation we give and receive.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Now join me in blessing this income. I recognize the spirit of love, the love in abundance, and I'm grateful for givingness, for that feeling in my heart that we all experience when we share, knowing that we contribute to something worthwhile, knowing that these gifts are used by our CSL St. George with integrity to benefit our community, to benefit CSL St. George and the greater community where we live in this beautiful, beautiful place of St. George. It brings relief, it brings comfort, it brings classes and knowledge and all the wonderful things that are offered through CSL St. George. In gratitude, I release this word, knowing that this prosperity abounds. And together we say, and so it is. Closing song. All these instructions are. I am going to be so grateful to have our ministers return. I really appreciate them. But it's been fun. It's been a blessing for us as practitioners to serve you today. Okay, let's form a big circle, join hands, and let's celebrate.
Ready? Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins. Hold on a second. I'm getting angry. Yes, peace begins with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me. Not yet. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, loved ones all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Well, that song has 5 endings, and I just played them all at the same time. It's a backward. I'm surprised you can.
Take that away from me. Be a participant and be a clicker.
Each and every moment, I remember who I am. I show up uniquely in the world in the way that only I can. I keep my thoughts clear, I create my own day. I know that there is power in every word I say.